Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian,
This is Daryl.
and this week, Daryl, the whole world, not just a little bit, the whole world is super pissed off.
Pretty much, but
Well, here's the thing. The world's completely pissed off, but we're not even talking about politics.
yeah, I know, right?
Right? I am kind of pissed off, and it doesn't have to do with politics. Like, the whole Ta-Nehisi Coates shot at Jordan Peterson, calling him the Red Skull is kind of bullshit. Like, that's just not okay.
It's unnecessary and it's petty. It's wrong. It's all sorts of negative, and it also shows how this guy should not be writing comics because he.
Well, I was gonna say
Like,
it just shows how bad of a comic book writer he is, that he's got to resort to just petty name calling, and it's a little racist.
Oh, absolutely.
So
100% it is.
Just saying. So, as I wasn't excited for Jar Jar Abrams and Tana Baby Coates to be making tokenized Superman, I am not at all interested in anything either one of them have to do anymore.
Yeah, I think you're just still mad at Abrams for the whole Cloverfield thing.
It literally should have been the Godzilla for a new generation.
100%. Yeah.
And I know he didn't direct it, but he was directly in charge of it. And he was like, you know what? Let's make it this found footage thing where you're rooting for a monster you don't get to see to eat these douchey kids. The only good thing that came out of it was we got like a solid 10 years of TJ Miller being funny before he went crazy.
Yeah.
That's it. Like that's the only good that came out of it. And he's the only good part of the movie. So
it was such a good it was like the concept
it's an amazing
of that monster.
concept.
Such a great concept.
It's fleas like blew people up. Poor Lizzie Kaplan.
I was just about to say, oh, Lizzie Kaplan. Sorry.
R.I.P. Lizzie Kaplan in Cloverfield and True Blood.
I don't remember her in True Blood.
Dude, she's in season 1. She's an all-timer. Just putting that one out there.
I saw the first season of that.
Yeah.
I have to go back and rewatch because
she's Jason's girlfriend.
Oh.
Yeah, like I said, an all-timer.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right.
Yes. Hello, Lizzie Kaplan. Hello, Miss Lizzie. How are you today?
Yeah, I think the theme song of that was "I'm Gonna Do Bad Things to You."
Yeah, and she did. She did bad things to Stephen Root, who was her vampire buddy. Anyway, so this week we're obviously talking Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but we're gonna obviously be light on what it is. We'll give our review or our ranking of the episode. But if you want to hear all of our thoughts, check into our Patreon at patreon.com/infamouspodcast to listen to the commentary. And then the other thing is, if you're interested in really helping us out, go subscribe on YouTube and watch on there. That would help us out. We're trying to grow that, and if we can get more people tuning in, we'll do more stuff on there. Makes sense? That works, right?
Absolutely.
So, like maybe we'll do things like what are they called? Reaction videos and stuff like that. You're a big fan of doing those.
Yeah, I love those. Yeah, and maybe have a video of you punching a baby Grogu.
Oh, I do like punching baby Grogus. I'm not gonna lie. That I whenever I see one at the store, I punch it and send a video to Daryl. Because as Daryl says,
you're a monster.
Eat me. All right. So first up, we have got, speaking of reactions, we've got the official trailer for Jupiter's Legacy landed on the YouTubes just the other day, and it was really, really quite good, to the point where I own all of the issues, like on floppy and everything. Floppies.
Mm-hmm. Floppies.
Well, I mean, that's what they're called. Anyway, but I ended up just hopping on Netflix, Comixology, and I just bought them. I was like, I'm going to reread all of these, and I don't want to have to go dig for them because My books are not currently in alphabetical order. They are in pseudo chronological order of when I bought them.
Oh, dude,
So
that's oh my gosh.
so as I read the book, I put it in the bin. I don't bother like alphabetizing them.
Oh man, and as many books as you have,
I
man.
mean, like, yeah, I mean, there's a number. I mean, there's people who have way more than I do.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like, there's people
But
who
I'm
have
just saying,
way,
like,
way more. I mean, I have more. I have more than the like. I mean, I probably have as many as like most collectors. I would think. I don't sell anything though, so yeah, I gotta start selling some toys too. I'm gonna have to offload some of those. I have things that are just in the Ark of the Covenant that are not coming back. Anyway, but the Jupiter's Legacy trailer, as we fell into a weird little rabbit hole there. This looks really good. I mean, like Netflix does a good job, right?
right,
But it looks good. There's some tokenization going on, and I will say they this book, like, there was a gay character in the book, so that same character is in the show, and that's gonna be cool. I think Josh Duhamel as the Utopian looks great.
he looks yes,
I think Leslie Bibb looks great. I like just the effects look really, really cool. But like they've kind of proven to me that they can do superhero stuff with
yeah,
things like the Umbrella Academy and the Old Guard and
yeah,
just
like
some of that
just their
other
sci-fi
things.
fantasy
Yeah.
stuff. Like we've talked about like the I mean, The Witcher and what the Lost in Space.
Yeah, Lost in Space
Like
is
they're
great.
yeah, especially season two. Season two was really good of that show.
Yes.
But yeah, like there were a couple effects that were kind of like weird looking, but
Yeah.
overall I really like the tone of this
Yeah.
trailer.
Yeah.
And again, this comes out next month, so
Yeah.
it's
May
we don't have
7th.
long to wait.
3 days after
Yeah,
Star Wars Day. 3 days after you can go get your Star Wars stamps at the post office.
I forgot you said talked about those, and you're
There's
definitely getting
R2D2
those.
stamps, dude. I'm gonna, it's not like I'm not gonna buy them. So anyway, um, but yeah, so no, this looks really good. I'm excited for it. It's got like a little bit of a Watchmen feel to it because it's heroes in their prime and the older heroes. Only this time they weren't banned or outlawed or anything like that. So, but seeing their kids is really cool, and watching the younger heroes, and yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to like this month, sometime later this month, go back and reread the original, the original story.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've read it, so
Yep.
definitely want to get back into that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, it just, like I said, it looks really good. I gotta say, the whole like aspect of flying, like characters flying, has just like it actually looks real now on like really low budgets. Like Soups and Lolo, when he flies, it looks real. When freaking Alexander Luthor flies in his Iron Man suit, it looks real.
Yeah,
So
it's yeah. To your point, that because that's one of the hardest effects I've seen that to get it to look like it's in world. And they've done like with technology
yep,
and some creativity, they've done a great job overall
agree.
making the things look pretty real.
Yes, sir. 100% agree with you there.
Although I will say I am going to blast Falcon and the Winter Soldier in our watch on one particular scene of a character running that looked pretty awful.
Um, I mean, I don't think most actors know how to run. Just
It was just like how it was either like I don't know if it was CG or if it was sped up, but it was that
they did a
part.
lot of the speeding up. Anyway, that we'll get to that, right? Let's not jump too far ahead. Okay, so Dune, the saga of Dune continues. Uh, did you ever watch the sci-fi version?
I don't believe I did.
So next time you come over, I'll lend you the DVDs. because it's not like streaming anywhere. But like at the there's three. It was like 3 2-hour episodes, and at the beginning of or at the end of each episode, it was like the saga of Dune continues. Um, so and like that's what really has me going on. So apparently Warner Brothers is flipping again, and they're considering not releasing Dune on HBO Max because Godzilla vs. Kong raked in an enormous $48.5 million at the domestic box office over the Easter long weekend. And I mean, to be honest, it's earned over $280 million globally. So I mean that's pretty good considering something like 60% of theaters are still shut.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely a good haul considering what was going on. And I've told a couple people, I think I've told you that if I could walk into a theater for the last 30 minutes and watch that on a big screen, I would love to do that.
I might do that.
But
I might just go watch another movie.
I was thinking about going to See Nobody or something like that. Yeah.
I kind of want to See Nobody. A guy at the gym was telling me it was really good. Here's the thing that bothers me about this article. And it's a quote from Josh Grody, the CEO of Legendary Entertainment. And when he's talking to Dateline, he says, this movie represents a way for people to slowly reintroduce themselves into a social environment. Heading back to the movie theater and learning we're not going to get sick. It's these steps we're taking over the next 2 or 3 months to get back into the normalcy of life. Dude, this movie comes out in November.
Yeah.
Like if you want,
this is April, dude.
Yeah, if you really mean that, put this movie out in May.
Yeah,
put it out in May.
I mean,
plain and simple.
Put your money, put it where your mouth. Walk the talk. You know, and yeah, a comment like that just it just doesn't sit right with me. And just to stay on track with Warner Brothers and their continued just lack of planning and strong decisions.
So I agree with your lack of strong decisions because, like, speaking of lack of planning, in this same article, it says Warner Brothers has indicated it will update its release strategy beyond 2021, having already inked a deal with Regal Cinemas that would give the U.S. theater chain an exclusive 45-day theatrical window for Warner Brothers films starting in 2022. So the only place you're going to be able to see Warner Brothers movies is at the Regal Cinema. And the Regal by my house used to be a really good theater, and it went downhill fast. And I don't like going there for movies anymore.
Well, I went to the Regal in, I think it's Wilder, Kentucky over
That's
here.
That's where we saw
it's a really nice
Atomic Blonde.
Yes, it is.
And it's little. I mean, it's not a big theater. And, they have the one big screen. But, yeah.
It's nice, but it's small. And the problem is and again, this is for me, depending on the movie, like a movie like Avengers, I went to go see Endgame there for the first time. And the audience excitement and that tangible feeling of watching something special just was not there with that audience. It also happened with one of the Disney Star Wars movies. I don't remember which one that I saw there, and there was zero reactions.
Well, I mean, to be honest, with the Disney Star Wars outside of The Force Awakens, which is an obvious aberration in the career of Jar Jar Abrams, there's not much to get super excited about.
Well, if it's an opening day, it is. Like for Star Wars, I see what you're saying because again, we don't need to go into The Last Jedi and all that, but just in general, the crowd there, they don't bring the energy. And like you said, the big thing and bigger than that is the fact that these are smaller theaters. Yes, the seats are very nice, at least the one over here by me. But again, it's a small theater. I mean, it's a very small theater.
Yeah.
So. And I'm trying to think of the other Regals by me or in the area.
Yeah. I said November. It's October. My bad.
Okay.
So it says here, at present, Dune is scheduled to arrive in theaters and on Max on October 1st, 2021. However, if Warner Brothers were to make a special concession for the film and provide it within the same 45-day release window, it might allow the film to earn enough money at the box office to make the Dune franchise commercially viable. Additionally, were Dune to be given this kind of release, it would not only please Villeneuve, the director, Denis Villeneuve, it would also allow HBO Max to keep the film within the 2021 streaming lineup as originally promised. So instead of it coming out on October 21st, it would come out mid-December.
Okay.
But no, it would come out of the
November.
end of November, like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But no, like release a day and date. Like, give the people. Here's the thing: is more people will watch Dune if they don't have to go to the movie theater. Because I'll tell you right now, I love Dune. I'm a Dune super fan. Right? I mean, I tried to convince a Scientology store or location in Cincinnati to switch from Dianetics to Dune, and I told them I would join and give them all my money that day. Before they kicked me out and told me never to come back. And probably put me on some list. I don't know how they know my name.
You're probably on a list. Yes, you're on a list.
Anyway, but more people will watch Dune if they don't have to go to the movie theater. I guarantee it. I 100% guarantee more people will watch it because Dune, everyone's like, oh, Dune is boring. Dune is boring. Dune is not boring. Dune is where George R.R. Martin stole most of his ideas for Game of Thrones politics, with families and houses and all of that fun stuff. Dune is a lot of it, Star Wars comes from Dune. Like, it's just, it is the prototype for science fiction. And it's heavy. It really is, but it's not boring. But if you can sit there and watch it at home and pause it and kind of take a break if you start to get a little overwhelmed by it, because it is its own language, and I think that would work out better for it, and it would add to the long-term franchise viability commercially, because then people are like, this was really good. I wonder what this would look like to see all 4'8" of Oscar Isaac on a big screen as Duke Leto Atreides.
Question. Yeah. Do you think that the way say they release it in theaters and release it 45 days later or whatever it is on HBO Max, do you think that would have a bigger impact, or if they released it simultaneously in theaters and on HBO Max, as far as people seeing it, like not seeing it the same day, but just what type, the buzz? That's what I'm trying
I think there's
of.
people that would wait the 45 days to watch it and then forget that it was coming out.
And that's, again, okay, yeah, because that's my concern in the sense of doing the wait. I don't get me wrong, I totally understand being someone who wants to have their product, the thing they worked over, to be in, seeing in the best light in theaters. However, you also have to look at, whether we're not, we went to theaters in August to go see New Mutants
and Tenet.
But anyway,
we didn't go together, but we went and saw Tenet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and Tenet. But so we have no problem going to theaters, none whatsoever, and that was last year.
Yeah, at the height when everybody was afraid.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not everybody. There are people, I look at some comments, and they're like, yeah, again, this is the movies that are coming out in June, or the whole Black Widow thing. Like I read on some of these comments, people saying that they're still not going to be, kind of ready. It's going to be a while before I go to the movie theater. Regardless of their reasoning or whatever, there are people that are like that. And there are people that are like that would probably want to see Dune. And to your point, that's why I brought that up, because my concern would be that you do this big fanfare thing where it's same day release. It's on there. It's plastered everywhere. You see it everywhere. You see it on TV. You see it on HBO Max. You see it online. But when you get that 45 days later release, yeah, there are people that'll pick that up. But then there's also going to be people that completely forget about it.
Yep.
And it just falls by the wayside with everything else that comes out.
I think, to your point, there are some soy-infused individuals who would just stay home and watch it on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That was the
And
nicest
this is one of
possible
the
way I could say that,
yeah.
by the way.
You're very nice. That was you showed restraint.
No, I show gravitas. I wish you could see the devilish look on my face right now.
Dude, I know that look. Yeah.
I was laughing at something the other day. Oh, I forget what I was watching, and Angel yells in from the other room. She goes, "I don't like it when you laugh like that."
I think I know the laugh too. She's talking about.
It wasn't the evil laugh, but I don't know. I do have a pretty evil laugh though, when I want to. Anyway, all right. So yeah, I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know. I think it would probably do more harm than good to wait the 45 days to release it on HBO Max, because people are like, it's going to come out on HBO Max eventually anyway, and then they're going to forget, and it's going to come out on Saturday night, and they're off like, prepping for the doomsday and getting their first aid kits updated and using iodine to make fresh water. Who knows, right? And it's they're making their craft hand sanitizer. Who knows what they're doing, but they're gonna forget to watch it. I mean, if they even have power at that point. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna go see it in the theater because it's important for me to go see it in the theater.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm definitely going to see this one in theaters. There's no doubt about it.
Maybe we should we should rent out a theater for it and invite like 10 people to come watch it with us.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to be still doing that.
And I wonder if they'd let us set up like a GoPro to just record everybody.
Oh, like kind of like record everybody's reaction.
Yeah, because just put a GoPro in like night vision mode or whatever, and yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, because like we're gonna have it turned away from the
and you're just showing the audience. You're right.
I mean, we can all just sit like right in a row and just shoot the whole row.
Huh. I'll be curious to see if they're doing that still. Then,
if they are, we're definitely doing it.
Yeah, because I think it's like only $99 or something like that.
Dude, if that's, I'll do it myself and just watch it by myself. Yes, I would like to rent out the IMAX for $100, please and thank you. I'm going to watch Dune all alone.
Yeah, it's
bring me my
I know a
popcorn.
couple people that did that. I don't think it works like that.
I don't think it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't not work like that.
So, all righty. All right. So our last news bite of the day, news bit, news something or another. So X-Men is getting a new #1. So this was a very interesting announcement from Marvel this week. The Reign of X brings new X-Men series from Jonathan Hickman. The Reign of X brings new X-Men series from Jonathan Hickman, Jerry Dugan, and more. And they have a timeline here. And so this is a short article, so I'm just going to read it real quick. The Reign of X is here. The latest era in writer Jonathan Hickman's revolutionary, I'm going to also give commentary as I read this apparently. Revolutionary transformation of the X-Men universe is now underway, bringing with it exciting new titles like last month's Children. Exciting is not the, hold on, let me rephrase this.
Yeah.
Bringing in disappointing new titles like last month's Children of the Atom by noted hack Vita Aliyah and Bernard Chang. Next month's Way.
I like the way this article sounds better.
Next month's The Way of X by Cy Spurrier and Bob Quinn, and May's X Corp by Tina Howard and Alberto Facci. And after June's highly anticipated franchise-spanning Hellfire Gala, fans can expect. Hold on, sorry, gotta reread this. After June's highly suspect franchise-spanning Hellfire Gala, fans can expect to be disappointed, including a trio of brand new series by amazing X-Men creators such as Jerry Dugan, Lee Williams, Pepe Lazara, and Valerio Schiti. Schiti. And the head of X himself, writer Jonathan Hickman. So we know Jerry Dugan and Pepe Larraz are getting an X-Men #1. Lee Williams and Valerie Oschetti are getting a classified #1. And then Hickman is getting a #1 with the artist name Redacted. There's rumor that it might be John Romita Jr. So, this being said, X-Men has not been on the best footing lately. I've still been buying a bunch of the books. I tried that horrific Children of the Atom. That was just bad in every way. I like Cy Spurrier, so I'll definitely check out The Way of X. And I don't know anything about Teenie Howard, but I'll probably check out X Corp because I'm a completionist. I will say I'm looking very much forward to Jerry Dugan and Pepe Larraz getting a book. Jerry Dugan is a very, very good comic book writer, so this excites me. The other two coming out in August and September, because they're classified or not told what they are, I'm not excited for them, but Jonathan Hickman does have a track record of just kind of failing to deliver after the initial like wave of stuff.
Yeah, I read, I don't think I finished, or I dropped off somewhere, but I was reading Powers of X and House of X, and that was a nice little change of pace.
Yeah, the whole Krakoa thing was cool.
Yeah, I really like that.
Like, but it
I got a
petered
shirt
out.
written in Krakoan, Thanks to you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So
actually, thank
again,
Brad. Brad's the one who came up with that idea.
Yeah. I was just like earlier today, I was just going back to read some of his Avenger stuff, just because again, Powers of X and House of X and I've read some other things of his like sporadically, but nothing kind of like from the start of his arc to all the way through to the finish of his arc.
Yeah.
So this is one of those that I haven't heard anything, them touting wokeness with it, other than the whole Children of the Atom.
Yeah, I mean he's
fiasco.
not inherently woke, right? But like his Fantastic Four run, I actually really liked. Some people hate. The Future Foundation, the FF stuff, I really liked. Some people hated. I did not care for his Secret Wars. Not even really a little bit. I don't know. It was just disappointing. And the fact that it was supposed to be like 6 issues or whatever, or 7 issues, and then they added 2 more because he just couldn't get out of his own way. Now, that being said, during the Secret War, I did like some of the Battle World stuff. Some of that was really fun. Especially like Captain America and Devil Dinosaur. That was probably my favorite. And then the Hulk one was really good too. But I don't know.
So
how
it's
excited
funny
I am.
With a guy like that, with a comic book writer who is hit and miss, just because sometimes they just don't get the story right, I'll take a chance on, versus someone who misses because they're trying to intersperse their message within the story, and the story comes last.
Yeah.
So I'll probably check some of these out. I haven't actually, House of X and Powers of X. Before that, I don't even know when the last time I'd read any X titles with any consistency.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna give it a shot just because I'm an X fan, but we'll see where all of that goes. But so yeah, that's what's coming up with X-Men over the next couple of months, all the way till September. So all right, moving on to Chris Terrio was dropping pipe bombs this week.
The pipe bomb.
He I think he came out to his Cult of Personality music, CM Punk style, sat Indian style on the stage and just proceeded to drop bombs, verbal bombs. So he's got this amazing interview in Vanity Fair. There's a link in the show notes. I highly recommend reading it. Um,
Oh, it's great.
but
Yeah.
like just the subtitle alone, the Argo Oscar winner is tired of being hated by the haters, and he despises what happened to his DC films too. Um, so I'm not. I mean, this is a long interview. It was really good. It's actually one of the first things from Vanity Fair I've read all the way through in quite some time. Um,
Same here.
but like he goes to task about the Justice League, about Batman versus Superman, about why he thinks he was brought in. But since we've been talking about the Justice League stuff, um, there was a part that really stood out when they're talking about it. And so the question the interviewer asks, is it true you were banned from the Justice League set? And Ontario says, I wouldn't say that I was banned. The studio attitude was, we'll take it from here. I was frankly shocked when I saw the Snyder Cut and saw how much of the original script was shot. With some small revisions, they shot the script, and I understand that sometimes that was a battle for Zach. How do you feel about the version that Joss Whedon assembled after Zach left the project? And Terrio replies, when those personal touches were removed from the film in the 2017 version, I was silent because I only really say anything. I couldn't really say anything, but of course it hurt. All that remained was a dinosaur skeleton of what had been a great lumbering beast. It might have been a big, unruly beast, and obviously it's 4 hours, and the movie is maximalist, and it's operatic, and sure, it's a little crazy, but I think the movie is crazy in the best way. Like those two, like just that right there. Like, okay, it shows the studio was so involved with the Justice version of the movie that it explains so much why some people on this podcast might refer to it as hot garbage. But then in the second part, you know, all that remained was a dinosaur skeleton of what was a great lumbering beast. I mean, I don't necessarily take that as a good thing either. You laughed because it's funny. But that movie didn't need to be 4 hours.
It needed to be at least 3 hours and 20 minutes for me.
I'm not
honestly.
saying it shouldn't have been over 3. Like,
But yeah,
if it had the same runtime as Endgame, it would have been perfectly fine.
yeah. I actually think that for what he did, they needed a little bit more time. But the whole epilogue thing, for example, I said, I liked what was in it, but it was wholly unnecessary.
So that used to be a bonus feature on the DVD.
Yes, I remember those. Those were pretty awesome.
That would have been
back in the day.
Go to Target and get the exclusive Snyder Cut version with the 20 minutes of unseen footage
of the nightmare scenario or something like that.
The nightmares of the reach around edition.
Yeah. And I love this line he says in here too. He says the 2017 theatrical cut was an act of vandalism.
Yes.
Zach may be too much of a gentleman to say that, but I'm not.
Yeah, I mean that's like right up at the very beginning. So right above those quotes also it says, can you point to something specific that you were glad to get to showcase in the new version? Willem Dafoe's story and the Aquaman story. Obviously the character Iris West, and most centrally Ray Fisher's performance as Cyborg. It was always the heart of the film to me, and it just meant so much to me personally because as much as my heart and life were put into the story, that is the thing about this version of Justice League, that none of it was done cynically or as a money grab or an attempt to sell Happy Meal toys. It really was personal for me, for Zach, and for many of the actors. And you can see that. You can see in the reaction to the fact that like none of them really came out and were like super happy about the Justice League cut. They almost universally all were for the Snyder cut. And there are a bunch of them who have come to bat for Ray Fisher.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say Ray. Some of the things Ray Fisher has said and some of the ways he's acted, I could not get down with, regardless of what happened on set. However, with that being said, and then reading this, how Terrio said, they would go out and take long walks and talking about his character. There's, it's one thing seeing it and understanding why he was pissed off that he was cut out, but looking at some of the stuff that these guys did in the background, trying to formulate this character, trying to get us a great story, a very entertaining story, and putting their heart and soul into it, you understand why these people were not too happy with what we got in 2017.
Yeah, right. I mean, but it goes beyond that too. Like later
Yes.
on, he talks about Batman versus Superman. I wrote the drafts of Batman, the Batman Superman movie. It wasn't called Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Otherwise known as Crapman versus Crapman. Crap is crap. He said, I did not name the script. In fact, I found out that the movie was called what the movie is called along with the rest of the world on the internet. I was not consulted on the title of the film, and I was surprised as anyone. I would have not named it Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. Was it Zach's choice? I don't know exactly who named it, but I suspect it was the studio, and I suspect it was marketing, to be honest with you. It might have been the first step towards creating ill will for the film. I suspect that putting the words Batman and Superman in the title had some marketing component to it. This is the best. It wasn't called Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice by me. And then just they kind of paraphrase here. It just sounds self-important in a clueless in a way. I mean, it is. It's tone deaf.
Yeah.
The intention of the film, he says here, the intention of the film was to do something interesting and dark and complex. Not quite as Las Vegas bust 'em up WWE match and Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. So yeah, I mean, there's that. He has a good relationship with Zack Snyder still. I imagine that, he probably doesn't have a good relationship with Joss Whedon. But I mean, he does say like the director's cut of Batman versus Superman, or the ultimate cut, or whatever the hell it's called, like, adds more of what Zach wanted in that movie. I think what Zach needs to learn is how to be a little more brief in his storytelling.
Yeah. So again, Batman v Superman. I went to see that in the theater and was underwhelmed. I was more underwhelmed once I saw it a second time. But watching the ultimate cut of that, again, not saying it's a great movie. It has severe problems, but it's a night and day. Even though it's only 30 minutes, which again, you look at a movie like Lord of the Rings movie that they cut 45 minutes, and they were still great movies without the extra time. So you can do that. Granted, those were all 3.5 hours plus, but like the 30 minutes completely, like when you add those in, there were so many plot holes in that, or the original cut of Batman v Superman. It was a Swiss cheese of a movie where like nothing made sense.
Yeah.
Even with those 30 minutes, so much more made sense from the story standpoint that, I said that within the first 5 minutes of watching that movie. Like, why did they cut this out?
Yeah.
It makes so much more sense down the road. Doesn't mean it's a perfect movie. It's not even close to being perfect.
No.
However, this again goes to show that these people, these fat cats at Warner Studios, have no clue what they're doing when it comes to
fat cats.
Yeah, I did. And it was funny because
how very Green Arrow of you in the Neil Adams Green Arrow.
Sorry. Because it kind of reminds me of something he said later on, like in this interview when they were going, they were parading them up, and I think it was in New York, with these people that make, they have the money, not the executives, but these Wall Street guys telling him how he needs to write Batman.
Oh yeah.
So that's probably where that came from. But yeah, it just goes again, and I also think he says something like there was never a real plan in this. So they said basically, okay, this is the schedule of the movies, work it out.
Yeah.
So there was no, okay, let's get our heads together. What is the direction we're going to take with these characters? How we're going to make this, this cinematic universe mesh together by working with, and again, we were just talking earlier about Star Wars, Disney trilogies.
No, hold on. Disney Star Wars.
Disney
You
Star
have to
Wars.
put the qualifier on
Disney Star Wars, yes. Very similar thing, although from what you said, they actually did have a plan, and they let your boy Ruin throw out the plan.
there. Whoa. He's only my boy in the manner that he's going to get kicked in the taint second after JJ.
But yeah, it's just it. And again, we say this all the time about like Warner's, and again, it's just so frustrating as a lover of films and a lover of a lot of these characters when these people don't care about it, and worse than don't care about it, don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And just completely mess things up for people who are putting their heart and soul into it and actually do care about these characters. And again,
right.
You know, I love Justice League. You didn't. I mean, the new version of the Snyder Cut. So this is not like rating on how much we love the movies, but it's more along the lines of the studio interfering and just making somebody's work crap.
I mean, here in the article too. I mean, like I was joking, I knew that he had no relationship with Joss. It says, "Were you hearing anything about Joss Whedon and his management on the set?" Terrio says, "I probably shouldn't get into that. I've never met Joss. I don't know him. I did reach out to him at the beginning of the process through the executives, but I did not hear back, which is not unusual." And then they ask, "When did you watch his version of Justice League?" I was in LA at the time, working on Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. The less said about that, the better. I was on the west side of Los Angeles working with Jar Jar Abrams at the time, and I drove to the studio and I sat down and I watched it a couple of weeks before the release. I immediately called my lawyer and said, "I want my name taken off of the film." The lawyer then called Warner Brothers and told them what I wanted to do. You know, and why didn't you? Prince had already been struck and hard drives burned down, and however they deliver movies these days, the elements were on their way, and to remove my name would have had to restrike prints and redo the digital copies, and the film could be delayed. It would be an international scandal and news story. So I shut up and I said nothing publicly. I've never said anything about Justice League since then, but the movie doesn't represent my work. So, I mean, this is a guy who, you know, was highly involved, and it wasn't the movie he crafted that came out.
Yeah.
You know, and again, studio interference.
Yeah, and again, it's easy to, you know, like just think about, like, to put it in more visual terms. Think about if you make a painting and then the studio or whomever, you know, the art house, you know, cuts out 30% of that painting, and it's not even what you created. And
no, it's not even that. It's not. They cut out 30%, and then they had someone come in and fill the other 70% up.
Yeah.
So,
that's actually a better.
And like, you know, I mean, here's the thing too, is he said when they asked why he didn't follow through on removal of his name, and he's like, I didn't want to bring any more bad press to the movie than was already there. You know, he thought it would have made the situation worse for the actors and all the craftspeople who worked on it. He says, but I'm awfully happy that Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League is the one that's higher on my IMDb page. So, look, I think people should go read this. I think we've given them a really good insight into what Chris Terrio is looking at. I mean, this dude is super talented. Like, Argo is legit an amazing film. And, you know, he was brought on to Batman v Superman because of his relationship with Ben Affleck.
Right.
And because he just won an Oscar for freaking writing Argo. So, yeah, I you know, again, like I said, he's also responsible for Rise of Skywalker. So, you know, there's issues there, but, you know, again, Rise of Skywalker wasn't written poorly because it was written poorly. It was written poorly because it had a foundation of quicksand. So, yeah. Anyway, all right. So, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I just echo your sentiments. This is a very well done article and interview that anybody that is curious about, like, everything that's gone on with Justice League and all this stuff, it's a definitely must read for those people.
Yeah. Kudos to Anthony Breznican for doing this interview and doing it so well. And I think really representing, like, the truth of what happened to Chris Terrio in this whole process. And he did a really good job about not necessarily pushing for more dirt, because when he would bring it up, Terry would be like, "Yeah, I'm not here to talk about that." And he was obviously close to Ray Fisher. So, and
Right.
he viewed Kryborg as the heart of the movie, and he should
Yeah.
have been. He just wasn't happy enough.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on to being pissed off at the world. I mean, having the world watch. Uh I gotta say, this was the most MCU episode of the show so far. As far
Absolutely.
as what went down and what happened. I love Zemo. Zemo is probably my favorite character in the show. Mainly because Daniel Bruhl is amazing in the role. And for all the complaints I've had about Sebastian Stan just kind of looking uninterested as Bucky, that's all out the window this episode. Like, not for
And
what he's done up to this point, but like that went away this episode.
yeah, and absolutely. And you said, I think a couple weeks ago, how underrated of an actor he is, and he has a scene in this episode. Not just the introduction of this episode is so good,
Mhm.
and the way the battle he has like internally in that scene, and just the pain and frustration and determination that Sebastian Stan gives you in that scene as Bucky
Mhm.
is, I mean, there was no better way to start this episode.
No.
I mean, it was so good.
I mean, it was great that it
So
picked
good.
up right where it left off from last week, which was
Right.
a nice touch.
Yeah.
Um,
And
I like, so Walker does some things of this episode that I know is make me not supposed to like him, but it kind of makes me like him more. I told you about that. I still think that Carly Morgenthau is the worst part of the show.
yeah, she does have a good, decent moment here, where she has a conversation with Sam. I'll just say that it was decent.
Mhm.
It wasn't great, but it was probably her best moment.
But I also
In
think
this show.
Anthony Mackie was carrying her through that scene.
And you cannot dismiss that either. Yes,
He
100%
loaded her
did.
up on the carbon fiber wings and kept her where she was supposed to be. I don't think we're gonna get to see the Power Broker.
I don't know, man, because there's only 2 episodes left.
I'm
and
also okay if we don't.
yeah. Oh yeah, I'm fine. And
Let's save the
would that
Power
be
Broker
a little bit of
for
restraint.
something down the line
Yeah.
and introduce him with more gravitas.
So real quick, going back to what you said about John Walker, I told you, I'm a fan of, we've gone over the whole how I'm a fan of reaction shows and
Uh-huh.
all this stuff. And what I found is so many people don't like this guy, not for what he's done, but for the shoes he's trying to fill. And yeah, he's been a little bit jerkish in some moments, but I was just watching a couple reactions, and again, this was actually an episode I was the only episode I've been excited to see other people's reactions to, because again, this is for me by far the best episode of this series so far. And I do like some of the moments you get that humanize him.
Yeah.
And like one of my favorite lines, and I'll have to hold that off later, is just like where he's devastated for basically failing again as Captain America.
Yeah.
And the look on his face when he does that reply, or when he makes his statement.
Yeah.
Like it's about a
You
guy
can
who's
say it.
he's
I mean,
trying.
You can say it. I don't think that's
yeah,
spoiler,
where he's like they weren't even super soldiers.
Yeah, because I mean we know the Dora Milaje show up.
Yeah.
And or the Dora the Explorers, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, but these are also like some badass warrior ladies who,
and they are trained to work together as well.
Yeah, they see pride, they see power, they are badass mothers who don't take no crap off of no one, just like Junior Bevan.
But it just kind of shows that, like, again, a lot, and part of it is the way the story's played out, but he really, people really aren't they just look at him as he's trying to replace Captain America. It wasn't his idea. That's the thing
No.
people have to understand. It was he's one of those guys, and again, and this is what people miss on him, and this is why actually to your point when you said that to me, you're like, yeah, this episode made me like him more.
Yeah.
And I said the same thing because you look back on the first episode where he gets, or it's actually episode 2, where we get that cold opening with him in this locker room,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, he doesn't want all this pomp and circumstance. He wants to do the job. Just
Right.
That's all he wants to do. And then Lamar tells him, he's like, dude, this is
the job. Yeah.
It's funny. I used that line when we were talking about like when we had a book club for work.
Yeah.
We were talking about a book, and I use that line for sometimes people, you don't see the grinding that people do. You only see the end result, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into getting to that end result.
Well,
and even though
yeah.
go
ahead.
That was just for my why I interspersed that in with the discussion.
Well, I was gonna say all we've seen is his Instagram version of this. We've only seen his highlight reel. We've gotten those little glimpses of the I want to just do the job, or he got beaten up by superior fighters, and he's like, they weren't even super soldiers, and I couldn't do anything about it. And they almost took the shield back.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think he has a lot of tough choices. He makes a really tough choice in this episode, which happens off screen, which I was very thankful for.
Yes,
because they teased it, the outcome of what happened there. They teased it, and we talked about this earlier, and we'll talk about it more on the commentary track on Patreon at patreon.com/infospodcast. But I wanna just say the reason I like him more is because they showed more cracks in the character, but all he was wanting to do was help. Now, here's the big problem I had with this episode is the word supremacist was used 47,000 times. If you were drinking, if this was a drinking game, your liver doesn't work anymore. Your skin is a crazy Nick Stahl shade of yellow from Sin City. Your blood is probably yellow at this point too. And you constantly have to go to the bathroom because you're so filled with alcohol. That was just, it was distracting. It kind of came from out of nowhere. In the whole thing, thankfully they pointed out that Steve was not a supremacist of any kind, Ta-Nehisi Coates, and that there's only one Steve Rogers.
Yeah. And that was the big glaring issue with me, is the use of that word and how they were using it. And it's not just how they were using it. I think it was the undertones that bugged me based on what we've seen in the first 3 episodes of the virtue signaling.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a Tots moment for this, where when the BLM stuff with Sam coming out of Isaiah's house, something like 60% of people dropped out and didn't come back.
Yeah.
I wonder if when they were having that supremacy conversation, the big one, if people dropped out and it's I've had enough.
Yeah. And to be honest, that was the one moment when they started bandying that word around. I was just like, come on, guys, use another word. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't even good. And the word itself wasn't even right for what they were trying to say.
Yep.
It was more like you said, it was distracting. It was shoehorned in, and it really bugged me.
I did finally. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was about to say, thankfully, again, the intro to this and everything else that happened throughout for the hit with me pretty well.
Yep.
Because again, like I said, this is by far the best episode from start to finish that we've gotten of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Absolutely. So real quick, Sarah Wilson, Sam's sister, I finally figured out her point on the show. It's to drag anything cool that's happening to a complete stop.
Yeah, she said something that bugged me.
She's just the continual A-Force cameo. That's her whole role in the show. And here's the thing. I don't know the actress. I don't know what she's been in. I she's not well. She's not very well. The character is not well written. So no matter who the actor or actress is playing that role, it's going to be hard. They're already starting from behind an 8 ball, and she makes Adrian Balboa look like the most supportive partner in the history of the world.
Yeah, and again, when we talked about the first episode and how they were trying to use her as something to humanize Sam, and I think you said it. You're like, he doesn't need to be humanized.
He doesn't. He needs to be shown to be a little bit more superhuman, like, you know.
Yeah, and again, those were the two biggest complaints I had about this episode was that use of the word supremacist and her injection in this, where it just wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
And again, to your point, it wasn't well written, and you know, she had a line that really bugged me as well. But those two things weren't enough to drag down this episode for me.
Yeah,
it's still nicked it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tiny stumble along the way.
Right.
So two other things. One, the use of Turkish delight only works in Europe. I'm just going to leave it at that. No American child would come rushing for Turkish delight. I brought some of that back from Turkey. That shit is nasty. And then I actually liked what they did with Sam, with the whole idea of reminding them that, hey, I work with people with trauma.
Yes.
That's what I do. That's my actual superpower. Was really good. And then the use of the wings
again
while fighting super soldiers, like just the whole apparatus, shows immense creativity from the directing, blocking, and stunt staff on this show that I'm constantly impressed with how they make what could be a very cheesy effect, but two, kind of a cheesy power, look badass and Avenger worthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we got that in the first episode, but this was even better because again, he was going to get super soldiers.
Oh yeah.
Or I should say super powered individuals.
I mean, they're super soldiers. I mean, they've got the super soldier serum.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying from a fighting standpoint.
Sure.
So it's a little, it's one of those nitpicks.
Yeah. All right, let's rate the show out of 5 smashed flag smashers.
I'll go with the 4 with this one because again, this is the only episode so far of this show that I'm looking forward to rewatching. I mean, really looking forward to rewatching.
Yeah, I actually can't wait. I'm kind of trying to cut this episode short so we can start recording that one.
Yeah.
But
and
no.
2.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Watching other people's reactions of the other ones. I would watch a reaction or two and I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I've seen enough. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna go 4 as well. And I am excited because I think they used every tool in their toolkit to the best of its ability in this episode.
Yes. There are a couple scenes I'm really excited to see again and talk about.
So anyway. All right. Well, cool. I think that's the episode, man. We're under an hour.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
There we go.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Like and subscribe. 5-star reviews. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. Yeah, I don't know. Sign up for our email list on the website. That'd be cool. I might actually start sending emails. And again, if you've reached this point, email me and I will send you something cool.
Nice.
One of Daryl's toes.
That got really dark. Why? Jeez, man.
Anyway, on that note, thank you all for listening, and we will see you later.
Peace out.
Bye. The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Daryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/infamouspodcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.